Okay, we are live, I think.
Yep.
Um, yeah, do you want to go just introduce the session, Sharon?
Yeah, I'm Sharon Svenson, Svenson Hypnosis, and we are going to be exploring self hypnosis. So, this doesn't represent all the self hypnosis techniques out there. I am not a medically trained person. I'm not going to speak from science. Um, I'm going to speak from my experience teaching my self hypnosis techniques and the anecdotal um, different things that the clients have shared with their experiences and the benefits that's helped them.
Great, thank you, Sharon. Yeah, and I'm here. My name is Hussein, and I am a previous client of Sharon's, and also a fan of her work and self hypnosis technique. And I am here today to ask questions, some general ones, and actually some specific ones. I think my email questions have been getting kind of long, so maybe it's you know to like have the session, and I think other people can benefit from just understanding the method and understanding what she does, because it's quite important and relevant for a lot of us going through different things in a real human life. So I will just go ahead and start asking some basic questions. And I have plenty of them. Hopefully, we can definitely fill the time. But yeah, so about self hypnosis. So maybe the elephant in the room is what is self hypnosis?
Yeah, that sounds like a great place to start. Well, first, let me share what the intent of the self hypnosis is to help people to redirect them from the fears, the anxieties, the worries, those negative patterns of thought, and to direct them to positive feelings, positive thoughts. I A lot of my clients come from a perspective where they have a faith in a higher power. Maybe they understand it with different names or terms. So to me, and to many of my clients, it's a feeling of tapping into these high energies. It's a place where maybe you feel God's love, or you connect with, maybe your words are infinite intelligence or loving universe, or it's just a feeling. I don't know, but it feels otherworldly and beautiful. And the intent of that, from that beautiful space, you can remember. And when I say you can remember, I'm talking about remembering your wisdom, the things that have blessed and served you. Like, for instance, oh, that's right. When I fixate and stress and worry, it doesn't work out for me. That, in fact, it attracts more anxious and fearful thoughts, and it clouds my head, and I can't see. And so we tap into their experiences, not mine, where, oh, I remember when I just relaxed and I let go. I mean, people have different words and different terms. And I trusted in God. I trusted in the universe. I trusted in life. And oh my gosh, it came together. I knew what to do. I knew what to say. So to be able to tap in to your inner wisdom within, to let go of those fears, anxieties, negative patterns of thought, so that you can tap into those empowering beliefs. So
Okay.
that's the intent. And I know that doesn't necessarily explain, well, what is self hypnosis? I would kind of say it's kind of like a positive distraction, that for self hypnosis, what you're doing, I use the breath, and that's an anchor to attach to those positive feelings. I think breath is powerful. To me, it flows through your whole body, that it can really embody and infuse everything. So if we can have this feeling of positive energy, positive feelings, positive thoughts flowing throughout our whole body, it's super powerful. So I was trained by Gerald Kind, Omni Hypnosis, and he trained us like doing our, you could do self hypnosis, anchoring it to maybe doing your fingers. You can anchor it to a color. But what I discovered when I helped anchor it to the breath. It was powerful for me. It was powerful for my clients. And for years, I did this self hypnosis community education workshop, and I got to see, wow, this can really change people's lives so that you don't have to do necessarily the daily meditation. You can bring that meditation, that softness, that opening throughout your whole day. Wherever you take yourself, wherever you go, you take yourself and your breath. Did I answer what you were
Yeah, yeah. I
asking?
think so. Like maybe if you ask the chiropractor, what is chiropractor? Well, it's like you just you do something to their back and then they feel great. So what's the do something part? So I do know what it is. I mean I guess I have an explanation that I would give.
Oh,
But
well, why don't you give
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Because I think
So
everybody's got a different experience, and somebody else's definition can open it up for them and help them wrap their head around it. So I would love to hear your definition because you've done it, you've experienced it. You know how life-changing, how beautiful it can be. So yeah, yeah, do share.
Yeah, so like the self part, you obviously jump in here if you if you want to take it over, like, hey, no, this is how it is. The self part, because hypnosis, I guess, you've explained in some of your videos too. It's not you're not talking about like looking at like a watch and then like you're completely unconscious and you're gone. So the hypnosis that you do, I guess the hypnosis refers to like a deeper meditative state, which can just be just relax, plain. It could be called relax, or it might actually be something deeper, depending on a person's own experience. But they have awareness, basically.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, I love that you brought that up. And that's what I love about the self hypnosis, that oftentimes people will associate relaxation with being unconscious or asleep or just kind of lazy. But to me, it's a state of taking you to a place. It could take you to a deep meditative relaxed state, but you can take that into the conscious state because we don't just want to, we're not going to live in a meditative state all the time. But you have felt the difference, I'm sure, between you can be in that relaxed state, but more awake and alive than ever before. So that maybe a better term for some people might be in the flow, so that you don't have that resistance that's kind of slowing you down or stopping you or clouding you or tripping you up. I think of it kind of like water flowing through a pipe. If you have if the pipes are strong enough and you've got a lot of flow through the pipe, it's going to be just fine if you don't have anything blocking it. But if something's blocking that flow, then things can explode. So
mhm.
that self hypnosis isn't going into this sleep state, but it can take you to a more awake state, more alive, more zesty, joyful, expansive life. But if you want, it can also take you into a beautiful hypnotic state too. And people use it for that also. There's just all kinds of different ways to use the self hypnosis. And maybe you'd like to share how you use the self hypnosis.
Yeah, so I can give, I guess, a practical example, real world, not getting paid to do it on themselves. So the self part is that, well, when people are doing hypnosis with themselves or with you, obviously they're the ones who are providing the wisdom. You're not telling them about some belief that they don't believe in, and you have to believe this in order for you to feel better. It's a, during your sessions, like the first part of the sessions is kind of like an interview, like, what's bothering me. Let's say, oh, it's money, it's bothering me. And then there are like, then you speak with the client or whoever about positive things that you believe already that can help you feel better, and even actually motivate you to have that, to actually fix that problem. You'll be more able to fix your problems if you feel good. Feeling overwhelmed chronically is going to deplete a person, not allow a person to actually put in effort. It's going to not kind of make them shoot themselves in the foot, or not want to get out of bed, and that's not a good way to make money either. So um, um, so like the first part of your sessions are an interview, like what's wrong, what's happening. Obviously you don't continue with what's wrong. You kind of, after a while, you'll start to just dig into good feelings, so you can things don't seem wrong, like they are just, they just happen, and I can respond in a joyful way. And that's what I focus on, so they're not exactly, it becomes more like life rather than like problems, I guess. Hopefully that would be
Oh,
the idea.
and that is such a good point too, that you learned the self-hypnosis when I took you into a hypnotic state. And that can make learning the tool of self-hypnosis, I guess, easier. And it's not a requirement. I have seen, I've gotten feedback from people that have learned it from my YouTube channel, through the different videos, and they've had some powerful experiences. But I've heard it again and again. It's like, well, I've done things like this before, but this somehow is more super powerful. And I can't say for sure, but I think it's because those people learned the self hypnosis in the hypnotic state,
Okay.
because we've bypassed those judgmental, analytical, critical
Yeah.
factor of the conscious mind. And as you know, it's like I always like to start with intent. So I'll give this suggestion. Don't take the suggestion if it doesn't align with your values or resonate or feel right to you. To feel this complete sense of freedom that you can just let it beat off you like water off a duck's back, but to open yourself up to the suggestions and the ideas that are going to bless your life. They're going to improve it. They're going to make you happier. They're going to improve your health. And so the self hypnosis, like you said, you can just learn it on your own. You can just go to my YouTube channel, and I've got a variety of different playlists, and I've got different self hypnosis breaths that you can learn. But I think that you just share a good point of another way to really make it even deeper is right away kind of dive into the deep end and go into that hypnotic state. Um, I just thought of this. Another way that you might be able to really take that self hypnosis deeper and further is, let's say you have a person that you just really enjoy listening to, a hypnosis recording or meditation. You could actually do the self hypnosis. And since that meditation takes you to those beautiful feelings, takes you into that meditative or hypnotic state, then that would be another way to make it super powerful.
Yeah. Thank you for yeah, sharing that reflection. I often inspire people with many words. So you said many more things than I did. I'm just kidding around. Very inspirational. I just say a few things and people just, take oceans from it. I don't know. So like, just like if someone says to ask me, what does Sharon do? I said, first she there's and I guess kind of just like just like many practitioners of a lot of different things, from like exercise to, medical doctors, to just anyone who provides, even like ultrasonic technical engineer, like they adapt their own versions as to what works what works best for their clients and what they've seen the most success in, and it's partially based off of their own experiences and stuff. But how you, in a quick nutshell, if I were to spit it out, you say spit it out in 30 seconds. That's all I got. So what I would say is that first you would speak about your something that's usually if people come for the first time for several times, they're going to be talking about issues, financial, health, family, other relationship issues, kids, things like that. Then you would discuss certain positive beliefs they already have, but they can't bring it to the front. Like there's like resistance or something blocking it, not allowing that. Like, I know I'll be financially okay. I know my, like, let's say relationship partner doesn't hate me if they just do this thing, but I just can't stop from going there. I know I'll be okay
Right,
financially.
right.
But then you say
So
why.
I'm listening for that wisdom
Mhm.
where, when you say, "I know I'm gonna be financially okay,"
Yeah,
it's like that doesn't mean you know it all the time. So where the self-hypnosis can come in is it can bring that wisdom to the forefront because
yeah,
saying it doesn't mean anything. It's
yeah.
the feeling behind it. And when you said things like that, it's like, okay, he has experienced it, he has felt it, he's gone to those places where he knows it. So let's take him there. So he can remember, oh, that's right. I do believe, I do have faith that it's going to work out. It's going to be okay.
Right. So there's like kind of leaning into those general wisdoms as well as like spiritually, people who have faith or believe in God or however they describe it. Then there are supportive beliefs that are very powerful. They may not have realized their power, how much it can kind of uplift them and help them. So that like what I would call meditative state or hypnotic state, like a very relaxed. So in that state, you're able to receive those messages a bit better, much better, and keep and store them and like kind of release them over a period of time. So you're not, I guess, depleted. So the
Okay,
sessions, yeah.
so I love where you're describing where you're able to store them. And to me, I think you're saying that it's like, okay, I did the hypnosis session and it's like it stayed with me for a whole week or a couple of hours or 2 weeks, and then it kind of started to fade. And that's where the self-hypnosis can really support and help and come in is that you can remember it again,
Mhm.
where we're focusing on the positive. To me, it's like you're opening up this portal to be able to access your wisdom and the positive feelings, the memories of, oh yeah, I remember when I was in this joyful, happy state and the job just came, or
Mhm.
things just fell into place and worked out for me. So that people don't necessarily have to do of course, I'm a fan of my hypnosis sessions, but that you don't even have to know, you don't have to analyze or kind of sort through it or figure it out. If you just went to that open and allowing state, it's like you're turned toward the positive. You're letting go of the anxiety and the resistance. And I teach different techniques depending on where people are at, from the sigh breath to the calm breath to what I call the love technique. And I've got some other ones for my groups where we go a little bit further. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely does. Um, so yeah, I'll just continue my little explanation to the
Yeah,
person that's
do,
30
do.
seconds. So then after you kind of like you've heard the problems, you've heard the wisdoms, you've heard, I guess, the tension. The your client would then like maybe like lay down or just relax in their chair. You'd ask them to do it like deep, like basically deep breaths, kind of getting them relaxed. Also, associating all of these feelings that they're good feelings they're going to have with the breath, because they can always kind of bring it back up instead of like, oh, what was that thing? And that was for that reason. It's like more like you just need the feeling. You don't need everything else that comes along, because actually that's
Yes.
actually the problem. The problem is the feeling. It's not necessarily the logic, because we can argue things in many ways if we choose to. So like once you're relaxed, then then that comes in with some type of like, you do different like meditations, like, or the relaxing part about relaxing your body, or like, feeling light in your body and things like that, that people who have listened to your other meditations have definitely heard. So that kind of really relaxes you. And then you go ahead and talk about uh, um, the person's issue, or other things, but really emphasize the good, those wisdoms, and
Yeah,
you bring
and I
bring
love that you say that, so that we don't have to be afraid of saying, "Hey, this is a problem. This isn't something that
yeah,
I want in my life." So it's not about ignoring problems or pretending you're happy when you're not, that it's okay. In fact, that's our beautiful guidance, is those, what am I anxious about? What am I fearful about? And it can help us guide it, so we don't have to kind of judge our anxiety or judge our fear, but we don't want to stay in the
yeah.
anxiety and the fear and the problem. We want to go to the solutions and the answers. So the feeling of, oh my gosh, this isn't working out, that's staying in the problem, instead of, oh, I want things to be different. I
Mhm.
want more harmony with my wife. I want things to work out for our family. Then that's moving towards the solution, and then building from that. It's like there are solutions, there are answers, instead of, how's this going to work, and it better happen fast, and what's wrong with me or what's wrong with them. That's, then we're getting really deep into the problem instead of moving towards the solution and the answers. But again, we can get to a place with self hypnosis where we can, it's just like, I don't get it all, but I just wanna go to this light, soft, peaceful energy, this all is well feeling. And then, so I always say, feel good first, and then don't make your decisions from fear and anxiety. To give a difference of that, I think of one client who said, "I'm gonna leave my husband." And that feels right. That feels good. Well, then I asked her, "Well, is this, where's it coming from? Did it come from a centered, peaceful, and aligned state, or did it come from fears and anxieties or judgment and blame?" And it was very clear it came from judgment and blame, that
Mhm.
he's the cause of all my problems. It's like that she wasn't really owning her own life. And so as we work towards, well, let's see the positives about him. It's like, I didn't you hear me? I want to leave my husband. So she wasn't tapping into her wisdom. She was moving up the emotional guidance scale to a better feeling. It's like, oh, if I leave my husband, her limited belief was all my problems are solved and life will be good.
Yeah.
So so she wasn't acting on her inner wisdom and guidance. She was just moving up the emotional guidance scale to a better feeling place, because hopelessness doesn't feel good, but blame does feel a little bit better. But we don't want to act or stay in those places. And what I love about self hypnosis is it can take you more quickly. I don't know if this has been your experience, but it can take you more quickly. It has for me, to those joyful, expansive places where you don't have to get caught up in the analyzation, or I can't find a softer, lighter thought. Well, you can just do the hypnosis and just kind of go there and release that resistance.
Yeah, yeah, that's totally true about the um dealing with every kind of incidents, or making decisions from a place of from feeling good and being aligned and centered, and not angry, and And yeah, I could talk more about that.
I would love to,
I-
Chris, I would love to encourage people to explore this tool, to use it in their life. And I think the way we're going to want to, people will want to try it out is, okay, how did it work for you? How did you see that that was true? So I would love to hear those examples.
Yeah, so I can give an example of some even for myself. So once I kind of learned what it entails, like for example, I have a business, and let's say somebody's not paying me on time, which happens, believe it or not. So like, well, that's a big reason. Let's say, assuming it's a good amount of money, that's a big reason to be very upset and distressed. If I don't get the money, then I like, oh, you're not feeling respected, or whatever. So I can go on. You could do this. I already did it for myself. This is kind of in the past now, a little bit, slightly, but basically, there's plenty of reasons why somebody should get very upset for them not being paid a significant amount of money for work they did. And but what I did in that situation when I was just getting overwhelmed, I'm like, I have enough money right now, and I will be okay. Actually, I knew I'd be okay, but why don't I feel okay? And so I wanted to. I knew that feeling bad about it wasn't going to solve the problem. It's not going to motivate me,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how I know when you know enough is enough with negative emotions. Is like, well, I'm stressed about something, but I'm not doing anything about it. Actually, I'm doing less about it because I'm stressed. Then like I got the message, but I kept the messenger, and I like kept every day, like I have to pay money for his lunch and his dinner and where he's going to sleep, and maybe he has a hotel room, so it's very expensive to hold negative emotions for longer than
Oh my
positive
gosh,
emotions
yes.
they give. Yeah, but negative emotions they'll take, but they are worthy because they do protect you, like like something's wrong, so they're
That
very
is
important.
such a good point. Yeah, that we have been told this kind of lie. It's been offered up by the majority of our culture that we live in, at least within the United States, that you got to pay attention to the problem and take it seriously. And if you just stress and feel anxious enough, then you'll pull yourselves up by the bootstrap and you'll fix this problem. Or if you're just angry enough, you'll just change someone else. And we have evidence that does not work. So that there's lots of legitimate reasons to feel anxious and fearful, to get mad, to blame, to judge, but it's not effective and it doesn't work. And we do want to keep ourselves protected and safe. And when you're in that place where it becomes a way of life for you of feeling good, I'll say, to follow your inner guidance, even if you can't explain or justify it. And you'll do things like you take a different route and it turns out right. Or you just kind of, nope, that person doesn't feel right for me. And so you move into situations that are safe, that are more nurturing, that you learn to pay attention to the clients that you take on. I know my clients have changed over the years where I would have people that like would back out of their contract or not pay up. And then it's like I have a very different clientele that, yeah, I don't think I had one person that was like 3 or 4 years ago, but for the most part, people and I line it up too. It's like I follow my inner guidance. Well, make a contract, have them sign an agreement, make it easy for them to
Okay.
follow through with their commitments. But it's a process. It's a journey as a business owner. So we learn, we figure more things out as we go along the way. But and I've experienced just what you said too, where I start to get anxious and stressed and fearful, and then I start to go to bad habits, want to escape. It's like I'm
Yeah.
not inspired to do things or act or create or follow through. So that we can keep ourselves safe. In fact, we can keep ourselves more safe when we tap in to those all is
Mhm.
well feelings. When we let go of, it's like being in the problem, blaming and judging. I did that not too long ago, just started to kind of get off on a tangent of feeling mad at a neighbor, feeling self-righteous. I was like, oh my gosh, that doesn't work. That doesn't bless my life. And feeling good, it's like that's the base that I want to go from and tap into my wisdom and guidance. And to me, I have a faith in a higher power. I believe, and some people might call it source, universal intelligence, great spirit, benevolent, loving universe. I often, to me, it's like God speaks to me. But everybody's different, or universe can speak to me. And I really do feel like I receive support and guidance and solutions and answers outside of myself.
Yeah.
And whether I'm right or not, to me, bottom line, I don't need to justify or explain myself, because that belief works for me. The belief that things are going to work out for me. Those
Yeah.
different beliefs work for me.
Yeah, kind of speaking to that point, um, about so yeah, basically, I'll just finish my little story here. And obviously, this is actually happening to me after I've spent several sessions with you, and I'm learning how to look for the good. Like I was like, well, firstly, like during my hypnosis, I'm talking to myself in like and I usually record it just so I'm like kind of like more diligent. Although I sometimes don't always go back to the recording that I make. It's probably still on my phone, actually. That'd be interesting to share. How many minutes it took for me to get out of it. No, but
Oh, wow.
like, well, I was able to remember and talk to after getting myself relaxed, like able to remember. Well, I was actually I'm grateful for the excitement that I had when I was working for the client that I'm going to get paid. There was like feeling like,
Oh,
that was interesting. And then I'm also grateful for, well, actually, I really don't. I really can survive without that money, and
oh,
that's
nice.
okay. And wow, this is actually a learning opportunity. Well, if they pay, then I'm probably going to change something on my contracts. Oh, that's a great lesson. And oh, it could have been more money that I'd lost out on, but it wasn't as big. So I get to learn this lesson on a bit of a smaller project. And usually all of my projects I end up learning something. So like, oh, I got to go in this other area I wouldn't have normally gone into. And we don't always have I don't always have the motivation to try something different or new without somebody paying me to do it. So I mean, that's there. And then I just and then obviously kind of going back to those feelings, connection kind of with God, that this is like, well, this is where it is. So do I also want to spend my life worrying about things that I didn't get? Like that's so but
Wow.
it's easy to say this.
Yeah.
Like anyone can just say it, like, yeah, I probably agree with that. But like, how do you like just push out those like negative emotions that have given you the information, like, you don't want this to happen? That's basically what the negative emotion told me, but I just let it stay, and it's like no
Mm,
longer motivating me to do the next step, I guess.
wow.
Yeah, and evolution wise, if a creature has a feeling and it doesn't do anything and it just causes them pain, it doesn't make any sense for them to have it. I think it's kind of the
Yeah,
logic.
and to me, it's so logical. I want to do what actually blesses my life and works. And I think of, that's such a I just love what you said about how you can think these things. You can intellectually go there to those thoughts, but unless you feel the
Yeah,
relief and the release, and you take it within you, it's like, oh my gosh, we're going to be okay. I can be fine without the money. In fact, I am so wealthy. I'm so prosperous and abundant. You could even go off on a little tangent on that. How lucky am I to be able to not even need their fee in order to feel good? And I love where you went to appreciation for having this project for the client in different ways. And I don't know about you, but I know when I've gone to that beautiful place, then all of a sudden they just, it's like, oh, and by the way, here's the money that I owe you.
right. I did get paid, by
Right.
the way. I did get paid, and there
I
were
love that.
indications that I would get paid too. So that was the even funny part. There were indications, but I wasn't confident enough in that. So that
Yes. Yeah. Well, I
so
totally get that,
yeah.
because we've been trained up for the most part, and most people are doing that. They're stressing and they're worrying. To me, it's like, why even have your own business if you can't enjoy it? And why it's like to enjoy our relationships, to enjoy life, that I really do believe the joy is in the journey. And that doesn't mean you're always going to be in a joyful place. And joy doesn't necessarily mean hippie, skippy. It could be a feeling of satisfaction, pleasure. It could be a feeling of just well being, engaged, feeling alive, feeling creative.
Mhm.
So I love that. Yeah, instead of staying in those self-righteous places, well, I'm right, or anybody would worry. Yeah, maybe, but feeling good works better. And you were talking about just the logic of that too. I think about this client that came to me that was a counselor who worked with kids that had some very heavy things going on in their family, where their parents were incarcerated, and there was a lot of drama and issues. And um, she was burnt out because she was feeling the heaviness and the burdens and the sadness and all that different stuff. And again, you'd think, well, of course, this is serious. You should feel heavy and serious, but it is just so much better whether it's a client that hasn't paid yet, or a health condition or illness, or oh, my and I've worked with kids like this too, where my dad's in prison and he's getting out, and or my mom's in prison and she did drugs. And who needs more lightness and playfulness than somebody like that?
Mhm.
They want to, it's like we need to feel safe. We need to feel optimism for the future to be able to kind of settle down and enjoy the now and the present moment. So that, again, it's like help them to feel good, to feel safe, to take them to that beautiful place. And both self-hypnosis and hypnosis can help you to do that, to to go away from what we've kind of been brainwashed and trained to do. So for instance, oh, well, you should feel sorry for yourself because you have a parent in prison, or that they don't have their life together. And being a victim just doesn't serve us
Mhm.
long
Yeah.
term. And I say that not from a place of not having compassion or kindness to somebody's pain or suffering, but that the path and the way truly is to be able to go to those beautiful places. I think it would be amazing if we could take self-hypnosis into the schools to teach people how to go to those beautiful places, of that centeredness and peace. Because haven't you found in your own life, who was saying when just with your kids, you have a family, that you're more creative and compassionate and kind, and you have more energy, like, oh, the baby is crying again, when you go to that centeredness and peace and you use that self-hypnosis. Is that true?
Yeah, I think the path to get to positive feelings is it should be a well-worn path. Don't let it go. Don't let it like get overgrown with weeds or anything. So yeah, I keep going up
Oh,
and
yeah.
down that path. So
Yeah,
it's not like
because
always on the yeah.
I I love that. And people that practice the self-hypnosis, that do the hypnosis meditations, they are creating that path of looking towards the positive, seeing things from a more empowered perspective. So that that's the kid that maybe has some awful things going on at home, but they find the mentors, the teachers, they say yes to the support and the help outside of
Yeah.
them, so that uh, feeling good takes
Yeah.
you to, it's like you open up the door to different opportunities. You see the opportunities, you take advantage of the opportunities. um, yeah, it can. And if that path, if you're more used to kind of the weedy, overgrown, rocky path, or you built a rut and you're just so deep into that hard path you're taking, you're not going to be able to kind of quickly go to that other path. So the more that we spend time, and self-hypnosis can be great. So maybe you do the hypnosis meditations, maybe you do hypnosis sessions, or a package or whatever. Whatever you do to have that in the forefront of your mind, so it's a clear path. It's like, oh, I don't have to take a machete and clear out the trail. There it is. It's well worn. It's easy to find. And so I've seen with my clients that have been doing these self hypnosis techniques for years that they can just go there. I think of this where they can override negative patterns of thought, because we can get it going fast and furious. And the sooner you can address it and catch it before it takes hold, the sooner you can turn it around. But I've seen these clients, and I've done it for myself too, where things are going fast and furious with my negative thoughts. Because I'm a good focuser, I can worry and get anxious and fearful and do it really well, go to dark, deep holes quickly. But because the path is so clear, and because I've been practicing it so much, I can find it, and I can override that sometimes super quick, like within seconds, within minutes. Maybe it might take me an hour or a couple of days if it kind of keeps popping up and I have to do that self-hypnosis technique again and again. Have you experienced things like that?
So you're talking about just getting there quickly. Yeah, so that's basically like that little story I did. I think it happened a few other times, but those are like very overly anxious like events. Like I'm like very like everything's around me, like you could say calm, so there's no like imminent danger right in front of me, but these perceived dangers are like completely overwhelming me. At that point, I'm like, pick up the pick up, if you were the only person who could dispense it, I would pick up the phone and call you, but I can dispense it now that I've kind of learned. So I can like, you
Oh,
know
yes.
just drop down, relax, and just do this, and it's like, wow, it's actually done now. It's kind of strange, but it's like, well, I just kind of aligned with what I already knew was true.
I love
And
that. Can you give an example to kind of so others can understand it more? A real life
uh,
example from your life of
yeah.
doing
So
that.
one of them was you could say the client not paying, let's say, or another one was like something regarding housing, like that was that things that actually are a big deal. Sometimes things can be like it is like no, it's like not just I'm making it up. It actually, if this doesn't happen, like let's say I'm just giving,
Yes, it's a
I'll be
big
on the street
deal.
if I can't pay the rent this month. Let's say I'll be on the street. um this is not like something that you can just like wish away, like, hey, it'll be great on the street. I'll be like, yeah, I'll be like walking outside. I always wanted to be outside. Like, I'll be on the street outside. So it's like, well, what do you do with that? Like, you have to actually I mean, maybe you will be happy on the street, but you just have to dig deeper, because you have to get yourself out of it. I mean, like, your abilities, your efforts will get you out of that situation no matter how bad, but you're not going to be able to function without feeling good. So
That is
it's like
such
that.
a good example, and I think about clients who'd been practicing, who were doing sessions, practicing the self-hypnosis during the pandemic,
Mhm.
and there were some big things. I mean, uh, some real things. I mean, people that are, dying, or job loss, uh, different uh, hate directed towards them for different reasons, so that those are real. So we're not saying these count. These are big. Your child's health, all this different stuff. It's like, we need housing. We have to have housing. This needs to work. But again, we're kind of told that lie that if we focus on the problem enough and stress and feel anxious, it's going to work out. But I remember that time when you were going through that, and again, you went to different beliefs, and you didn't necessarily get there right away. Um, but the belief of things work out for me. Well, it could happen, it could work out. So we go to the softer, lighter thoughts, and that tool of self hypnosis if you've been practicing it, if you've been listening to the hypnosis meditations, you've already got those in your, it's in that well-worn path. Things always work out for me. Of course, something beautiful will come along. This will fall into place. Those well-worn positive thoughts and feelings, then you're more likely to be able to step into it. Because I can think of, wow, there are these clients that during the pandemic, they had real things happening, but they were able to enjoy the journey along the way. They were able to redirect and see things from a different perspective, an empowered perspective, a higher perspective.
Yeah,
So that's a good point.
that's totally true. I've been doing a lot more research too since I work with you about, and a lot of the things have supported, why it works. So you don't have to know why it works. Whenever we use a computer, we maybe some people don't know why it works. But
Uh-huh.
simply the person can come and fix your computer and still not know why it works. Like that person probably may not know, but they can fix your computer. That might be a similar case to you. Like, well, you don't have to know about brain.
Yes, yes, because
Like,
I'm not the scientist. I'm not here to tell you
yeah.
necessarily why. I want you to experience it because I'll have different clients they want to dissect, they want to get analytical. Hey, there's nothing more powerful than life experience. Let's
Mhm.
do it. Let's experience it. So then you can come back to that experience where you're lined up for more happiness because of that whole housing situation you went through, because you had evidence. And I think I remember that maybe it was like after our session that you went to this, you went to this place of it's going to work out for me. Things, it can work out for my budget and our needs, and things can fall into place. And then I think it was, I don't know if it was that day or the next day or soon after, you said,
Mhm.
"Oh my gosh, that came through, it fell into place."
Right,
And
okay.
so truly that this is gonna make us more when you take time to do this, it makes you more resilient and more adaptable. And you don't necessarily have to do sessions with me, but or do the self hypnosis, but are you doing something so that that's in the forefront of your mind? You're going to that open, allowing state. You're releasing that resistance. You're taking that path where the base is to come back again and again to feeling good.
Yeah, yeah, that's a kind of really beautiful explanation. Um, so like so some of the ways that when I've been doing some research or like in general about healing, about different, feeling better, I'm kind of different philosophies that work really well for me, but also like it's interesting about and somebody may find it peculiar, like about the bringing in of divine and energy, and this seems like, what, okay, is this like, what are they like, the breath work is, as far as I can believe, I can't believe that, or like, yeah, I know there's God, but like, what do you mean by like healing energy or whatever? So
Yeah, yeah,
actually I don't have a comment on it, honestly, but what I do know is that, and what I believe actually is that we're so smart that we need God. Actually, we need, if there was no God, we need to make it up, because we have to know everything's okay. Otherwise, we're gonna go into our fight or flight all the time. Like we have a very so we actually need a reason beyond reason that things will work out, and without that,
yeah, I love that. And for you and for um, we go to that place, but I've also seen clients where they believe in themselves, in their power, their abilities. They believe in they believe in life or humanity. And to me, it's like whatever thought or belief gets you to that higher place. It kind of makes me think of this one client. Um, she came for weight loss because she'd had like a couple of hundred extra pounds and it was affecting her health and just kind of making it scary for her ability to walk and things like that. And I would say different things like, happiness and joy. And she's like, you say these words, but I don't know what the heck you're talking about. It doesn't have any kind of meaning to me, because she was so far removed from that. But she did get there. But what she did feel was, I feel a loosening in my chest. My stomach feels more settled. I just feel a sense of maybe more relief. So it
Mm,
depends on where you're at. If just like if you have a real tight body and you've kind of ignored it, it and it's the same thing with feelings. If you've ignored your feelings for so long,
mhm,
um, you may not be able to relate to this, but I've seen it again and again. Like clients, I've worked with clients for, I don't know, like 7, 10 years, some of the clients. And they do get to those, it's like, oh, I get it. And it
mhm.
could take a couple of years to get there. Or I don't
Yeah.
know what you're talking about, these spiritual experiences, Sharon. But then they start to have their own, because you don't know until you've experienced it or know. But bottom line, is this improving my life? Feeling relief is
Mhm.
huge. If you've
Yeah.
been in a place where you felt anxious and stressed, it's like, oh my gosh, I feel lighter. I feel softer. I feel more peaceful. One client just likes, oh, I'm just kind of like, I'll say, you're just one soft, lighter thought away from feeling better. And to her, feeling better is taking her to that place. And things like, oh, going up to high, expansive, joyful places, connecting with God, that doesn't have a meaning for her.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
this is just to help you. Yeah, we're gonna thrive and do better in life if we do. Just to feel safe is huge.
Mhm.
And you may get that feeling in a different way than like other people. It's like
Mhm.
you don't need to have that higher power for this, that belief in
Yeah.
that higher power, have that faith for this to bless and work for you. But that to me is an important part of my life.
Yeah, that's important to mention. Yes, so people can find it other ways, but yeah, for the people who do find it with the with God, there's a bit of a there's a in my own understanding, there's a bit of science behind why it works, and
Oh,
why.
oh, okay.
Yeah, this is basically like because we have we need to come up with the reason why everything's gonna be okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Using
and that's exactly, it's like, and I help clients,
yeah.
it's like, I don't, look, I'm not here to dictate your religion, your faith, your beliefs. I just wanna tap in. Just like I think of a client who, she came in, she was super depressed. She came in because she wanted to use, her doctor said, "You need to follow the things that I tell you, like you need to do the CPAP machine and different things." And she just wasn't doing it. And she didn't know why. She was depressed. Well, she didn't have a reason to live. She
Hmm.
just saw this awful future ahead of her where she was just going to get worse, and things that she loved were going to be taken care of. So the first thing that we went to is, it's like, okay, uh, why do you want to live? What are things that you've enjoyed in the past that gave your life meaning or made you feel alive and connected? And she's like, well, I can't do those things anymore. It's like, well, that's okay. Let's just go to them and remember them. And then from that place, you can start to bring those back into your life, but in a way from where you're at. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
you can't travel anymore. I get that. But how could you bring that sense of kind of vacation or travel where you're at? How can you bring that excitement with what you physically can do right now? And so we did do things so that she would want to do the CPAP machine, but I knew that's not going to work. She's not going to follow through and do that if she doesn't even feel like it's like life isn't worth living. Why should I take any more breaths? Why do I want to take in, deep breathing? So that you need to have that reason. Like, oh, you have to have that sense of optimism and faith that life is worth living, to take you there. And for you and I, we have that beautiful belief in that higher power that serves us, but other people get there in different ways too.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great point. Um, There's one. I think there's two things I want to mention. Maybe it's just because I'm greedy, so I just want to mention it. But like your work involves a lot of times people who are sick, and that that's from a religious perspective. Yeah, God's praying and or connecting with God, that heals. That's very easy to understand for people who have faith in probably the common religions that people adhere to, including my own religion of Islam, that we do believe that God can heal directly, and even a way, even feels like connecting with God is like self hypnosis is kind of another method of that. But even on the, I don't want to say scientific side, or the not factoring that part, but the possibility of that in, there's also the chronic fight and flight causing in our own body reacting in very bizarre ways. So like back pain, like issues with the bowel, allergies, all sorts of sicknesses and very bizarre conditions, and conditions that the doctors are sure this is for this reason, but it's not. And this is a very important for, I guess, those positive emotions, rediscovering them, even kind of scientifically, because of the chronic fight or flight. We don't have a chronic happiness kind of like, maybe like brain, but we definitely have a chronic, like that debilitating a fight or flight negative emotion brain that can like
Oh,
really.
okay. So I would say I would say it differently in
Okay.
that we are programmed to feel good. It's
Okay.
inherent and natural within us. And how do we know that? That when we don't feel good, something feels wrong. And it
Okay.
guides us back to
Yeah, I
that
like that.
place of well-being and peace. It's our guidance. And so when we release the pressures, the anxieties, the worries, the fears, the what if this awful thing happens, when we let that go, then we come back up to that natural state. Like if you held maybe a fish lure down in the water, and then you release the shame or guilt or not good enough or any of those feelings, it's going to bob back up to the surface. And here's the beautiful deal that I've seen working in my own life. I have seen health conditions reverse. I've released allergies and asthma. Um, I was so blessed. The very first volunteer clients I had, it took me a year to do my hypnosis training, was individuals with severe health conditions, one where he was bedridden. And again, it's like I just kind of systematically, it's like what is holding you or triggering you to, whether it's the angry feelings or out of control feelings or negative patterns of thought, and kind of systematically go through those so
Mhm.
that they can breathe easy, they can feel safe. And from that beautiful place, the body naturally heals. You were born with a body that knows how to heal. You were born with cells that know what to do. That and like you said, when you're in the survival state, your healing abilities are focused on survival.
Mhm.
Not healing abilities, your energy, your body is focused on survival. So it shuts that stuff down. This is not the time for rejuvenation or regeneration. It's
Mhm.
time, to survive, so that it is devastating to the health. Thank God we sleep, and that we do take naps, or you do have, whether it's a healthy distraction or unhealthy distraction, it probably serves you in that it helps to relax you, and helps the body function and heal. But so I've seen people, they've told me that their heart condition. I had one client who said that her heart was functioning around 30%, and she shared that her cardiologist said it was now functioning at 70%. People that said they had cat allergies. That, I mean, all I can do is anecdotal. We
Yeah.
don't have a controlled setting. I can't say, oh, it was
Right.
definitely this, but all I can do is share what they've shared with me.
Oh yeah.
And I've experienced it, releasing migraine headaches, releasing allergy and asthma, seeing clients do the same thing, where they turned around what was considered maybe an incurable progressive illness, um, and it came back into their health. So I do not want to malign Western medicine or other alternative therapies. People all the time, they might be working with a therapist or taking medications. I am not here to give anybody their wisdom or guidance. I'm here to help them to release the fears and anxieties so that they can figure it out and find their own way. And people take all kinds of different paths.
Right. Yeah. Joy is a medicine you don't need to see a doctor for, I guess, but it helps to see a hypnotherapist,
Yeah, but
right? Or a
he
self
I
hypnotist.
was I was blown away by that first guy that I worked with. He had, and I'll probably be pronouncing it wrong, ankylosing spondylitis. He was bedridden. He was in constant pain, coming from a place of kind of feeling angry. I mean, his life was basically taken away from him. He couldn't run his business anymore, couldn't really be there for, to interact and enjoy his family. Well, by the time we finished working together, and I think it was like maybe 2 years, that he had his life back. I'm so delighted because I started working with him in 2005, and I started to, after my training, I started to get paid for it in 2006 with clients, paid clients. But here we are, fast forward years later. I saw him this year, and he was out in his yard splitting wood. Wow. That he was bedridden, and then he's doing his business again. I think he got off all his medications except for, he said, one. I don't know if you have, I think last time I saw him, I think he said he was still taking one medication, but the medications were making him groggy and they had different side effects. So this isn't to say, throw out your medicine, take off your glasses. It I'm open and receptive. I did have a client who was able to release his driving glasses from hypnosis, but let's use what makes our life work.
Okay.
And it's like, yes, hypnosis, I have seen it. It has improved my health, and clients have said it has improved their health. This one client, I'm super excited. We've been working together. Okay, so this would be our second year we're working together, and she had beliefs in outside things and food and the things that you do, and she now is discovering from our work together, oh my gosh, I can do this self hypnosis and I can release the neck pain. My back can loosen. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm very excited about this. I could talk about it for hours.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. And
I've hardly got through some
healthy
questions
health
actually,
too. So
but
yeah,
yeah.
we'll have to wrap this up. But yeah, and then I work with a lot of people that have mental health labels. Again, I'm not at all
Okay.
saying you need to replace your psychiatrist or your therapist or your medical doctor with me, but I do know my expertise is the power of the mind, and I have seen just people have shared so many miracles in the reversal of different things and feeling happier.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
actually, yeah, I actually have to get going, but yeah, the best part of it is feeling good, and
Yes.
that's what matters most,
Yes,
actually.
yes, the best, and it can improve all areas of your life. Um, yeah. So
Awesome.
thank you. Thank you for that. We got to have this time and explore self-hypnosis. I recommend to other people to, if you want to go further, check out my YouTube self-hypnosis tutorials. I have ones that are 60 seconds or less, and then I have the longer ones on I forget what it's called, like breathing self hypnosis techniques. And yeah, I've gotten different feedback from people that have been using it that haven't done sessions with me, and that it has been potent and powerful. So, and then if you want to check out about doing sessions, you kind of went into that realm. I didn't
Mhm.
know we were going to go there. So yes, hypnosis sessions can be super transformative. So my website is svensonhypnosis.com if you want to explore that. But Yeah, so do a self-hypnosis, dive in there, explore, experiment. I always like to say to people to don't worry if you don't have instant results, just feeling a little bit loosening or lightness. It takes practice. And listen to your inner guidance. Maybe it's not the right technique for you. Some people they kind of came to it with a stressed feeling and it didn't work for them. And I always say you can't get it wrong. Be willing to kind of feel what you feel, explore and experiment. So back to you if you have any last words, and then we'll
Yeah,
wrap this up.
yeah, yeah, it was beautiful speaking with you, and I think hopefully some people found benefit in having another person asking questions and maybe even giving some of my own reflections. But I gotta go. But gotta go live my joyful life now, right? I'm free. I'm free for that. So it's waiting for me
Yay.
outside of the call.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you. All right, take care then.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
bye bye.